Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and Gothamites. My name is Emily Sophia, and I'm going to be breaking down for you guys the latest of Gotham Penguin's Umbrella. So, spoiler alert, as I will be bearing all in this review. And without further ado, let us dive into the mad thick of things. So this week's episode was quite bombastic and filled with revelations that have pretty much changed the nature of the game as we knew it. Now, I don't think that there is a single one of us who doubted the Penguin's powers and prowess in the world of getting what he wants. But we came to discover a juicy little tidbit of information that has made him even more of a crazy kingpin than he was previously. We knew that he bounced back from what seemed like a sealed fate when James Gordon let him live. And it was never in the cards for him to not return to Gotham. If he made it out of that encounter with the good cop alive, then, as it turns out, he was coming back on Falcone's team, except with the appearance of trying to get back at Mooney by working for Maroni, but Falcone knows what fish Mooney's been up to, and it just, everything is now completely and utterly in place. And we see why Falcone has been hanging back, sitting back in his power, and very slowly and methodically making his choices. We see the reasoning behind everything that he has done, behind his seeming softness. In actuality, has been a pact made with the devil himself. So, oh man, is that some deliciousness right there. I mean, I'm so excited that everything that the Penguin has done really, truly has been intentional. He didn't simply come back of his own volition. Really, I mean, although I think that outside of his pact with Falcone are, well, his own interests and desires. There's a really cool quote that he said in this week's episode, and I'm going to look at it on my Twitter because I was live tweeting and I want to make sure that I say it correctly because it was really cool. So the part where he and Maroni's guys infiltrated Falcone's camp, killed a bunch of the dudes, but then also took out Frankie, who is one of Maroni's main henchman. He said, "Your greatest passion becomes your greatest weakness, and love conquers all." Now that was a fabulously ironic twist, because when we think of the phrase love conquers all, we think about love being a saving grace. It conquers all insecurities, all doubts, all fear. It transcends and it brings together. But the way that Oswald twists it is that love conquers you. The one who loves is conquered by that love. Frankie by his love of money, which made him a cheapskate, etc., etc. And that was it's just so freaking brilliant. Like when he first started off on that whole tirade, it almost seemed like he was like some motivational speaker of sorts, some kind of twisted motivational speaker. I don't know, maybe you should have like a conference at Arkham Asylum or something once that place is up and running, because I think he could impart some sadistic and sinister wisdom to those types. So yeah, that was definitely the best part of this episode for me, was every single freaking thing the Penguin was up to. His mannerisms, the way that he speaks, the way he conducts himself, the way he knows exactly how he's playing. And the fact that even with the giant twist at the end, with his working with Falcone in this partnership, we know that there is more in it for the Penguin, that his committing himself to being Falcone's snitch is not the end game. Far, far from it. And so ultimately, he is playing each and every single player in the giant mob war that is finally unfolding. And yet, he has found his sort of friend in the person of James Gordon, and he doesn't directly specify why he wants Falcone to, as a favor, spare the life of Gordon. Some people have speculated that there is a, there could be possibly a homosexual attraction, that, or it's this really deep and kind of twisted friendship, like the kind that we see between, say, Hannibal and Will Graham in NBC's Hannibal. That is another one of those relationships where you're like, okay, what is the true nature of this? And in fact, that's a very cool little metaphor that I just realized, or parallel rather, with the Penguin kind of playing the part of Hannibal, and of course, James Gordon playing the part of Will Graham, who has also worked for the FBI, and that's just too great. That's awesome. I think that they should go, the four of them should have a little double date sometime. You know, Will Graham can share his despair and miseries with James Gordon, and you can see that he's got it pretty good in the world of Gotham. But it was also really cool to see the struggles that James was put through this week, and the transformation of his friendship and partnership with Harvey Bullock, who for a while has really, the two of them have been kind of at each other's throats, and they tolerate each other only to the extent that they actually get work done. But then when everything that Harvey thinks he knows about Gordon is challenged, he ultimately comes back around with a prostitute and booze in tow, and he's ready to rumble. He's ready to go down swinging, and he figures that he may as well align himself with the light side, that being embodied by the person of James Gordon. Now, I have to say that I was frustrated to death that, of course, Barbara had to freaking return to Gotham after she was sent away to safety on a Greyhound bus. No such luck for Gordon trying, because he knows that Barbara is going to be used against him as leverage, and she is a gigantic liability. She is the one thing in the world that he has other than his own skin and his sense of justice, and that's really not something that, I mean, I guess it's something that can be tested to fire by the people who he is facing and confronting in Gotham, of course, but she is the one physical thing outside of himself that can be taken away. And of course she comes back thinking that she can plead for his life, and sister, that just ain't the way it works. Have a wee little slice of the pie of discernment. Will you please eat something? Oh God, just I mean, it's a good thing, I suppose, that she was involved in some way with the whole showdown with Falcone and the mayor and James and Harvey and Zsasz and all that jazz. I mean, luckily her presence was helped to spare the life of Gordon, but at the same time, just sheer ridiculousness. I understand, but at the same time, no, because that's basically what everything that she's been doing this entire season is, thinking that she is helping Gordon win. In fact, she's putting both of them in grave danger. And that is going to prove very frustrating for me unless she changes her approach. But more on that later. See, whenever you see a character go away on a bus, just expect that they're gonna be looping right around the block and getting dropped off just quarter mile down the way, and they're coming right back to cause some kind of chaos. Anyways, so I must also speak about the introduction of Victor Zsasz this week, and I expressed in one of my earlier vlogs at least that I was pretty nervous about the way that he was going to be introduced to the audience, because in the comics, in the games, in most of the canonical Batman lore that is out there in the universe, Victor Zsasz is quite simply a serial killer, a very deranged, psychotic serial killer. Okay. And in this story, in this show, he is framed in the context of a hitman who is working on Falcone's behalf. Now, that's not necessarily a role that takes away from his craziness, from the true darkness of this character. Him playing that role doesn't necessarily mean that he is not that sadistic son of a biscuit. but at the same time, it just doesn't quite do justice to the evil that he presents in the comics. And perhaps he's one of the characters in the show that the writers want to exercise a slow burn with, not get into the nit and the grit too fast, kind of pull back. I don't know if they're trying to rewrite his origin story a little bit, because I'll tell you how he comes about in the comics. He's sort of a foil to the character of Bruce Wayne. He's the head of this international company, and he's amassed a gigantic fortune in addition to his family's wealth. He is a man of privilege. He is in the elite class, and he is reaping the benefits, right? And so in his mid-20s, his parents die in a boating accident, sending him into spiraling depression. He goes into gambling, and guess who he loses all of his money to? The Penguin at the Iceberg Lounge. Fancy that, okay? And so then after this, his spiraling depression spirals all the more, and he goes crazy, and he kind of goes on this nihilistic downward turn. Life is pointless and meaningless. He's ready to commit suicide. And then this homeless guy assaults him, and then all of a sudden, everything clicks, and the Hallelujah chorus of Satan rings out in Zsasz' mind, and he decides that he will give the gift of death to this man for saving his life, realizing that he can live on to simply end others, to liberate them from the meaninglessness of life, and he will become the person, this wrecking force that frees other, and that is how he freed himself from being sad. So, all very inspirational stuff, but I mean, God, wouldn't it be so fantastic to see that story unfold on screen? And we're not gonna get that, because we're just not. And I can tell because of the way that he's introduced and the way he's being used so far. So really, his introduction was a bit of a letdown for me. I guess that would be one of my main complaints, because he's one of my favorite Batman villains. He's one of the lesser knowns, I guess, in the mainstream community, who I really love, and I think it would be really cool to see him in all of his awful, hideous glory. There's just, we don't really get to see that serial killer side of him exhibited in this episode. He just kind of has giant saucer eyes in a funky town ringtone and dresses nicely. That's what we know. That's what we know. And his first on-screen killing too with the cop was anticlimactic. Really not his style. Perhaps he is still coming into his own. He scored the 28th tally into his flesh. So I guess you could say he's just getting started. I don't know, but I don't want him to be a lost opportunity, because this guy could pose some serious problems beyond the gang war, beyond everything that's going on here right now. So anyways, yeah, again, a very exciting episode, very intriguing relationships, and developments, everything being drawn together by the machinations of the Penguin, the Golden Goose. Honk honk, okay? Oh man, the writers just, they give all the good stuff to Oswald, and Robin Lord Taylor just, mwah, très magnifique. It's so good. It's so freaking good. Yeah, lots of great quotes and great moments, and truly this was one of the most action-packed episodes of the season yet. No villains of the week, no nonsense, no fuss, just war, you know? And isn't that everything that we have been waiting for and more? So hey, it's another favorite line of mine was when the Penguin said, "I sense a sarcastic and hostile edge to your tone." just I am going to use that from here on out when I am duking it out with people that are snarking up a storm in my face. I'll just say, I sense a sarcastic and hostile edge to your tone. What shall we do about that? So remember, ladies and gents, that love conquers all. So let the things you love be things that will bear you up instead of tear you down, especially when you are at the penguin's knife point. So, so good. Okay, also, weird little scene with Bruce Wayne and Alfred, where Montoya and Alan kind of come together, and Bruce is told by Gordon that if everything goes south, he's got a couple of proteges who are going to pick up the case of Bruce's parents, which ties into the gang war, and so they're trying to remind us that Lil Wayne, he's still in the picture, you know, still in the background, and wanting very much to understand the nature of everything around him, not to be treated like a child. And yet at the end of everything that Gordon explains, he reaches out in a very adult-like manner. He reaches out to shake Bruce's hand, and Bruce just comes in for the big old bear hug. And it is a moment for both of them. He's kind of surrogate uncle, you know, and yeah, so I mean, again, just kind of a little thing, but they're trying to keep it in our consciousness that the dark night shall rise, okay? So in case any of us were worried, I continue to be perplexed by Fish Mooney's sense of fashion. I tweeted out earlier that she looks like she pretty much walked off the cover of Rihanna's Rated R album, and the whole, like, you know that Kanye West All of the Lights video, like when Rihanna's got the thing and the, yeah, it looks like that's what that's what the costume department is going for with Miss Fish, okay? Yet again, I know that Fish Mooney's chances of making it out of this season are quite light, as the penguin is getting hungry. He is actively seducing everyone around him, and ashes, ashes, we all fall down. So if there's anything that I missed that I didn't speak about that you would like to hear about, please let me know in the comments. I would be more than happy to chat with all of you there about the things that you loved, the things that you didn't, whatever else. It's good, it's good. Yes, I still am confounded to this day that the penguin is the star of this show. I mean, I don't know if we should be calling it Gotham anymore. I'm out of words, and I think I'm gonna end this video before I am even more out of words, and I'm pretty much just spewing gibberish your way. So thank you guys so much for watching. It's been a great week. I can't wait to get back at this soon, and as always, I will be back before you know it, whether it appears that James Gordon has killed me at the Bayfront or not. I will be back, but you'll never know whose side I'm on. So you guys take care.